Yeah, saying no is one thing, accepting no is another thing.
When is the best time to correct your parents?
Either, oh, you want to tell me that you're wiser than me?
That you don't correct your spouse like you're correcting a child.
God is interested in how you wake up in the morning.
There must be a clear demonstration of the power of God.
See, I did high octave and low octave.
You guys are going to enjoy today's episode.
Today.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
I climb to the highest mountain.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Unwalled, a show where we break down all the barriers and we have the conversations we don't usually have in church. My name is Bologi Stephen.
And I'm Anansi Magdoka.
Okay.
Natty. Go on.
Okay, so today we're going to be having a very interesting conversation about saying no. We know that it's not always easy, and sometimes we don't even know when to say no. So let's start, Natty. Do you think that as Christians, our answer should always be yes?
I'll say for everything that is ungodly, we should refuse. So we have the right to say no for everything that's ungodly.
So that one is even straightforward because like you can't, if they bring ungodly things to you, and let's think of an example. Maybe you're in the office and then your colleagues say you should maybe sign something that's wrong or whatever it is. What do you do?
Well, like you said, as a Christian, you should say no. But it's easy to say no. But you need the grace of God to help you to really say no and to stand by your no. Because like you said, office, there are vices and there are forces that come along with you sitting in the office. Yeah. So you find some people putting on pressure on you to bulge, do what they want, and they can bring things to entice you. But you can't corner the scripture. The scripture does not allow you to do that. So your no should be your no. It's
like what you said is so true, like to say no and to stand by your no. Because sometimes you can say no and then they start mounting pressure or they start threatening or they start enticing and then your no starts to shake, like maybe not really. No. I'll think about it and then. But remember that scripture that says that the grace has appeared to all men, teaching us to say no to everything that is ungodly. You know, so obviously as Christians, there is a place to say no today.
So to add to that, can you just view it this way in terms of pressure? Let's say there's a budget that needs to be passed through your office, and the budget padding that we all know about. You can literally see budget padding. What do you do? And you need to sign for the budget to go through. What do you do as a Christian?
I think you review it.
But we're talking about pressure.
Yeah, so to be honest, saying no will come with consequences.
Yes.
Because if you really want to stand by that no, you might lose your job.
And if you lose your job, naturally people begin to consider, oh, I've got family to feed, I've got needs, but your no should be your no. Yeah. Jesus is the yardstick, not people and their decisions. So,
and to trust that God who says that you should say no, God who you are honoring, will take care of you in the case of, oh, I have a family and all of that.
Yeah. So I think your no should be your no.
And your yes should
be your yes. Yeah. So what about things that are I'll say ungodly, things that, okay, let me put it this way, church activities.
Okay.
Yeah, we all have that notion that, okay, putting our services to God, we all need to come to church and put our services. So what do you say? Are you okay coming to church every now and then when you're being asked to come do something? Oh yeah, with the quotes and even to say, okay, it's the house of the Lord. You need to come and serve the Lord. What do you say about?
Okay, so if I get you right, you're talking about things that, so we've talked about ungodly things. So things that are not necessarily ungodly. So things that, you know that scripture that Paul says, all things are lawful, but not all things are expedient or advantageous.
Yeah.
I think that is the best scripture for this case. Because coming to church is good, being involved in activities is good.
Yeah.
But it's lawful. But is it advantageous? Has it gotten to the point where it's no longer serving purpose? Has it gotten to the point where you don't even have a relationship with God. Every day you are in church, serving and doing all of those things, but you can't even say you have a relationship with Him anymore because of activity. So I think that with things that are not necessarily ungodly, there's a lot of discernment that we need to know, okay, when is it getting too much, and all of that.
Yeah. Yes. To add again, let's say for those who have maybe the gift of service and they are being pushed every now and then for it, do you think it's wise for them to stand up to read sometimes, to say no? As I would say, your body can begin to fail you, and when your body begins to fail you, you can't commit to to those activities you regularly give your time to. So do you think it's high time for people to start realizing that me saying no doesn't say that I'm not giving my 100% to God? Yeah.
I think that we must understand our priorities.
Yeah.
Because if I know that in church, I think I've heard a pastor, I can't remember which pastor now, was talking about having 2 core places you serve, right? So that you're not in choir today, tomorrow you are in ushering, you are in greeters, you are in prayer band, you are the one, then there's a group that prays for the church, and then you're just everywhere. And like you said, your body can fail. So having priorities, know that, okay, in church, this is where I serve. Because, okay, we're married now. You're serving so much, your spouse cannot even see you. Your children don't even know that. The only time your children see their father or their mother is on the screen in church. That's not expedient. It's not advantageous. So knowing priorities and knowing what is important to do at a time helps you to know that, okay, this other one, I have to say no to it.
You mentioned something that I would like to go back to. It might be out of this discussion, but there's a part of what this lady said. She came for one of the youth fellowship meetings in this church, I think rated R, and the lady mentioned something. She said, when you're married, not really all the time you go to church. You have to give your time to your spouse. So if maybe your services that you render to the sanctuary affects your relationship with your husband at some point, then you should find a balance. Find a place where you balance issues and know when to serve and know when to. Oh, okay.
There was one day, I think I just had my baby like a few months after, and it was a lot of activities that week, ministry invitations, my husband going to work. We hadn't spent time and all of that. And I had an invitation on a Sunday morning in a church. I cancelled it. We didn't even come to our regular church.
Oh.
We stayed and we watched film.
Oh,
on
okay.
a Sunday morning. I'm not even going to and then I think we joined a church later in the evening. But that morning, that Sunday morning, I had to say no to that invitation. Not because I didn't want to be a blessing or all of that, but my family cannot be suffering in that sense. Cannot not see me because I want to serve. We must find a balance. And then there's another angle. Sometimes saying no helps the person you're saying no to.
Yeah.
Because imagine that I always come to you when I don't have money. And because you always say yes to me, I'm not prudent with my money. You get? So I know that I can spend my money anyhow. Anytime I come to Nancy, he'll give me more. He will fund me. He will credit me. So you're not even doing me good always saying yes to me because I don't get to grow. Have you had people like that always just come to you when they need help? They don't even bother trying to sort it out because they know that you always got their back.
Yeah, that's them being lazy.
Exactly. And the saying yes is just enabling their laziness.
Their laziness. Can we juggle this around? You mentioned you and your husband. Now, that's we going out of the 4 corners of the church. Anyways, the family is the church. So it starts from the family and gets to the church. So you manage to juggle that between you and your husband. Can we say more family-oriented people need to know about yes and no?
Absolutely. I think that no matter what you do, you can't neglect your family. You know, going to church together is great. If you can be, I know a church that actually encourages husbands and wives to serve in the same unit. Now, that's up for discussion. I have my, but I get the idea of it because it's a very family focused church. The idea is so that we are coming for meetings together and all of that. So in whatever you do, you can't keep saying yes to the world, and your yes is indirectly saying no to your family. I don't think it makes sense. But it's easy to say no. How do we say no?
How do you say no? It's actually a big and a massive question now. There are different ways to say no, but we need to know that people that need to hear the no word, there should be people who are ready to receive the no.
What if they are not ready?
Yeah. You said something about you helping them by saying no. Yeah. So you have to just tell them no so that I can put them on the right track. It might take a long time. It might take a long time to say, to accept no. Yeah, saying no is one thing, accepting no is another thing. But
You always
have
have
we
to explain.
I was about to even talk about explanation. Not necessarily. There are people that you just say no and you go. Yeah.
We'll say I'm mean, but
At some point, Jesus didn't explain to the disciples to go tell the crowd coming maybe for more food.
yeah, he was just like, let's go somewhere else. He had to say basically by his actions.
Yeah. And there are some people, the more you go further to explain why you're saying no, the more they will convince you to even say yes. They can change your mind.
Actually, when you're engaging, true,
Is it all right for you to say yes when you're not supposed to say yes?
it's not.
Yeah. So earlier on, we spoke about pressure. People can pressure you with your explanation. So the more you explain, the more people find loopholes. Okay, I think
Yeah.
you said something. Have you considered this?
Then they'll give you reasons or ways to. That's true.
So I think there are times you explain, there are times you don't need to explain. Have we considered maybe, say, peer groups, people that are below your peer groups and above your peer groups? These are,
Different way to.
yeah, I think you have different approach to say no and maybe explain. Sometimes you don't have to explain to the older generation.
I did not the ones that need the explanation.
That's why I said sometimes. Sometimes you just say no and you stand by your word. With time, they get to understand. And in as much as they want to understand why you're doing it, at that point, with your explanation, you still it's in your court not to say anything. With time, they get to understand. But I'll say the younger generation, you have to explain. We're in a generation where people feel, okay, so long as you're not striking my own chord, you are rude. You're not helpful. Maybe you're just trying to be mean. The word mean is flying everywhere now. So you have to explain. This is why I'm not giving you A. And this is why I think you should go with B first. And it's going to shock you with time. They get to realize that, oh, okay, you mean the best for B to be first and A to be second. So, yeah.
I get that because there are some people that are not up to your level of understanding that you may need to, and your no and explanation in those cases might actually help them. So imagine somebody who, we've been using ministry and family a lot, so I'll just go with that same example. So imagine you and somebody, your friends, before you got married, again using like family as an example, and then you married first, and then this person is now married, but it's just all over the place, like not having time for the family, and the person invites you for a function, and you're saying no with explanation to, oh, I've been away from my family for a while, and I think that it's important I spend time, might help that person understand that, oh, I should also spend time, with my family. So there are some people that no and explanation would help them to get to the point of maturity that you are. And some other people, like you said, your explanation would only get them trying to give you loopholes. So discernment and the Spirit of God, like you said, part-time, so that you know, okay, this is a situation where I explain, this is a situation where I don't explain. But in all cases, we should be firm, but not rude.
Yeah.
Firm, so that the Bible says your yes should be your yes, and your no should be your no. So we should just try and be firm, whether we're saying yes or no, and stick to what it is that we have said.
Yeah, and I think we should be polite.
Yeah.
The way we communicate our answers determines how people accept, regardless of the older generation, the younger generation, and even our generation. So I think we have to. So someone can just come up to you, oh, uncle, you're being rude by you saying yes. Have you considered my feelings? So these are the kind of things that we need to look into. Do you think you have anything to say about the younger generation? Because I think it's coming in hard on them.
Like you said, we just need to explain certain things to teach them what it is. So that it's not always like some of us were brought up, my word is final, no and no. We don't even know why certain things are in place. But with them, I think teaching them, explaining certain things to them will go a long way. So not always saying no, but explaining why we're saying no. Basically what you said. Let's stop being labor at this point.
All right. Thank you for joining us on this episode. Hope you loved it. Please follow us on our YouTube page, like it, subscribe, press the bell, and we'll encourage you to please send your comments. Say no. Thank you for having us.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
I climb to the highest mountain.